this is Sandra Fernandez, and this is another episode of the Little Radio Show. And this week we have a first look at a Netflix original show in Spanish called Club de Cuervos that my co-host Juan and I are very much in love with. We take a look at Facebook legacy contact and several other updates in the social media world, as well as talk about some updates in entertainment, including what Selena fans are up to these days, and a planned tribute for singer-songwriter Joan Sebastian. Thank you for joining us. Please remember that the Little Radio Show runs on hmsnetradio.org on Thursdays at 2 o'clock Central Time. You can find us on iTunes and on thelittleradioshow.com. I don't think I know a single adult who doesn't have a Facebook account or doesn't have a presence on it.
What do they have, like 800 million or something like that?
That was the last time I saw something reported.
Is that profiles?
Yeah, like user profiles. Like I think everybody's on Facebook nowadays. I mean, it's so easy to get on there.
You know, and using the word everybody will make a lot of people cringe. My mother has had a Facebook account forever, and I know that one of the fastest growing segments on Facebook is seniors. One of the things that came to my attention recently is that Facebook has added this feature, this ability, so that you can add a legacy contact to your account. And what this means is you can designate someone who basically will be responsible for your Facebook account should you pass away. When Facebook first came out, what would happen when somebody passed away is that either someone would have to get their password or have their password and go in and delete the account, or the account would be up there forever as if the person were alive. And that means that you would get birthday announcements and reminders about important dates for them, and etc. And so eventually Facebook instituted a thing called a memorialized account, whereby it allowed for friends or family to let Facebook know that the owner of that account had passed away.
Yeah.
And what they would do is they would turn it into a memorialized account, which basically was an online place where you could still post memories and stuff about that person, but it wasn't an active account.
How long has that been? Because I just found out that you could even do that.
Well, it's been several years.
Really?
It's been a while.
Wow.
I think there were a few people complaining about it. Well, I think they went to Facebook and asked them, because they couldn't, I think it first started because they couldn't access the accounts of their loved ones.
Yes.
And after a while, I think some of them were actually deleted.
Well, that's really interesting because, like, my first thought was like, well, how are they going to know that you're dead?
Well, someone has to tell them. It's not like they're out there monitoring whether or not their 800 million users are.
Well, I think this is a great thing, but here's why. Because everything, your life is kind of on social media, and so you want your loved ones existing still. It's a memorial, of course, you said that, but you want them to still exist. Now, when they delete, I believe when they deleted in the past the accounts, all of what they have written, the comments people have made, photos, videos, and things like that aren't existing anywhere else. We're completely gone.
But how interesting though that in the age of social media, we're actually designating, like, okay, I want my account to be memorialized, and the other thing is that you can have a legacy contact, which is
this is the new age
kind of bizarre, it's like a will. Like when I pass away, I want Anjelica to own my Facebook account.
Yes, it is part of the will.
One of the things that people are being encouraged to put in their wills is who they give legal access to all of their social media accounts to, so that they can then go in and either delete them or designate what to do with them once you've passed away. If you have a very dynamic online presence, this is a big deal. But Facebook, what they've done is they've made it possible for any person to go in to their privacy settings and designate two things. One is, what do you want to happen with your account when you pass away? Either do you want it to be turned into a memorialized account, or do you want them to delete it? So you can make that decision now. The other thing is, who is going to be your legacy contact? What person can go in and make decisions on your behalf about
your
Facebook
account? Yeah.
Yes, once you pass away.
My question is, like, how legally binding is that? Like, is that really legally binding? Like, what if somebody goes into your account and they just hack it and they make themselves the legacy contact without you knowing, and then they just hack your account?
Oh, well, you're asking a question I've got no answer for.
And then what if and are the other social networks doing the same thing, I wonder? Like Instagram Instagram's owned by Facebook, but like Twitter and things like that. Like if you have like a robust network, I wonder if that's something that they're doing. It's a really interesting concept to me.
Well, Facebook is the only account I'm aware of that provides a way to designate that the account is owned or was previously owned by someone who is no longer living. Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and all of the rest, either the account is an active account, which means it's online and all of your information is there, or it's not. But for someone to get access to your account on Twitter, either you would have to reach out to Twitter and make a case for them to give you access, which I don't know how that would work, or they would need to have your passwords.
But I do think it's a really cool concept, though. I think I was a little surprised by it, but I think it's a really good concept because, you know, when you pass away and it's like your social, like you were saying, the pictures that you share on there are so, you know, like you share a lot of your life on Facebook, and some people more than others, but, you know, those are memories that are going to be there for a long time. And then you don't want people to just assume that you're, you know, if they don't know, and it's a good way to let everybody know that, you know, you're no longer around, I guess.
Okay, so I've been going through my Facebook actually and deleting things. I don't think I want some of that stuff to live on there forever, including pictures that I was tagged in. So I started untagging myself in some of them.
She untags herself from my pictures.
Yes, I do. Unless it's Anjelica approved, it's going to get untagged.
Well, you can change your Facebook settings to where you have to approve a tag.
I've done that now. Now, after I untagged myself from all of these places, I actually put it to where you cannot share with me on my timeline unless I pre-approve it. And that's helped and worked for me. I mean, again, sometimes you have family who kind of has conversations and you're like, I don't think I want the world to know this conversation, so we're gonna keep that off my timeline. And then there's pictures that I was unaware of, or I'm like off in a corner somewhere and I'm like, I don't know if I want everyone to see that.
They're not last selfie queen approved pictures.
So you are joining the Little Radio Show, and we're talking about Facebook memorialized accounts and legacy contacts today. I honestly haven't made a decision as to what I want to happen with my very many social accounts after I pass away.
Oh wow, Sandra, that is going to be a whole other will. That's going to be a very interesting. I'm very interested. Would you consider your mom, your sisters, one of your nephews, your niece?
Well, the biggest challenge that I have in trying to make that kind of a decision is it would have to be someone who understands the channels well enough to go in and actually either close the accounts or make decisions on their present based upon how each of the accounts works.
Now, do you want your Facebook to still exist, or would you like it to be deleted?
I think that I would want it to continue to exist as a memorialized account.
Now, here's the question. What happens when Facebook decides to shut down? What happens to all of these pages?
They go away, no?
Yes. Well,
I understand we're binded with Facebook according to what Facebook has agreed to, but how much can we really hold them accountable to things that they've agreed to do how much can we hold them accountable to this? Like,
well, let's remember 15 years ago AOL was the end all be all place to be.
Yeah.
You've got mail.
You've got mail. And there have been other social channels that have been big and they've been very important. Facebook is the 800-pound gorilla, not just because they're the largest social network, but because they have integrated their login to almost every other thing that we do.
Yes.
If you go on to Nordstrom's and do a search on something, the next time you log into Facebook, you're going to see the ads on the side customized based upon the last thing you searched on when you went to Nordstrom's.
I've never seen that. I've never looked for that.
If you go to Amazon and take a look at something, if you're on the same computer,
but you know, it's not guaranteed that they'll stay around forever. So
no, and the reality is that you should have all of these images and all of these memories somewhere else. Because if Facebook were to close down tomorrow, that's it. You don't have them ever again. That they're just going to be gone. Now, maybe they'll have some sort of a project or a place where you can view them or whatever. I'm not sure. I do know, and this is based on the last time I checked, Facebook used to allow you to go in and do a download to back up your entire account. And that included all of your images and other stuff. But I've never done this myself. I can't tell you that it's the best way of doing things.
Where did I go? Where I went on somewhere and I tried to do that, and it did give me that option to be able to download everything. I think it was like, but you had to have the space for it, so it had to be on a computer and so on. So yeah.
Going back to the original question is, 1, what do you want to happen to your Facebook account after you pass away? Because now you can designate what happens to it. And 2, who would you choose to make those decisions on your behalf or to be in charge of your account once you pass away? Because that is the Facebook legacy contact. We're going to be providing links to both information about the Facebook Legacy contact and about Facebook Memorialized accounts in the show notes on thelittleradioshow.com. Check us out later today or later in the week, and maybe you'll find out what we've decided to do with our own. Netflix has recently rolled out their very first original programming in Spanish, and it's this very fresh, very new concept show called Club de Cuervos, which is awesome. I'm addicted to it. I've been binging on it all week, and I am gonna say that I am probably going to finish every episode before the week is over. I know that Juan is sharing in my addiction this week.
Yeah, I actually just heard about the show, and I was like, hey, it sounds really interesting. And so I started watching it because I heard that it was already out on Netflix, and so I started watching it, and definitely I'm hooked. I've been hooked on it since day one, and I think I'm like well past the halfway point. So I think it's 15 episodes total, and it's based in Nuevo Toledo.
Which is, I'm not sure if it's a real city or a fictional city. It's supposed to be a few hours outside of Mexico DF. Okay.
And it's really... it's sort of like the storyline behind it is, there was the father passes away. The father owns a soccer team in Nuevo Toledo, and it's a big deal. Everybody in the city is invested in the Nuevo Toledo team. And what are they called? Los Cuervos.
Los Cuervos.
Everybody's invested in Los Cuervos. And so he passes away. Then there's a rivalry between the brother and the sister, his son and daughter, who both are from different mothers, and there's a rivalry there because they both want to be president, and then the son just overtakes it.
Wait, the father died?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
First, 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then the son.
What a small part. It's like, do you want to be the father of this like Netflix like phenomenon and die the first 10 minutes? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
No, but the son, he just kind of claims the presidency, and the daughter, of course, is really pissed. And so, it's a good behind the scenes look at what goes on, or what, it's a fictional show, obviously, but it's a good behind the scenes look at what happens behind the scenes of a soccer team and the ownership and all the drama. And so it's been really, really interesting.
Well, it's a great topic if you're going to go into Spanish language audiences. I know one of the reasons that they developed this was to reach out to Spanish language audiences in the U.S. and their new international audiences that they've been developing Latin America and other countries. Soccer is huge. Mm-hmm. It's a huge thing. In the U.S., football, obviously, it reigns supreme, especially if you live in Texas.
Yeah.
But soccer is huge, so this is a great thing for them to do as the first foray.
Now, you have to mention that soccer is huge in Latin America, but it's huge here in the U.S. with the cultural of Hispanic and Latinos.
Which is who they're trying to reach with this show.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
And
what a great way to segue there.
And it's a very refreshing show because it's the storyline is really interesting. The characters are developed, the production quality is very high, or it looks very high, and so
I think I mentioned that it looked like a movie when you're binging off of it, obviously, so I get the remnants of it, so I get the unfortunately I got one of the sex scenes and I was like, okay, what's going on? But
well, it is Netflix.
Yes. So you did as I mentioned, the production is so good, like it is so like I thought you were watching a movie.
This is Netflix who produced Orange Is the New Black, which was a breakout hit. It really was a game changer for the industry, I think.
But Orange Is the New Black, it has its own little value production, but this looked like a movie. It looked like a movie. I can't get past that.
You also have to establish the quote unquote universe that they live in. These are rich people. They own an athletic team. This is not how they make their money. They own manufacturing companies and other stuff.
A soap company.
And other things. This is international business for them. They have private jets and multiple houses, and it's not unusual to be watching an episode and somebody mention casually that, oh, I didn't see that because I was flying from England to Mexico, or I'm spending the weekend in Miami. These are people with money, and the level of the way that they're showing the show is absolutely that. They have drivers, they have maids, they've got everything, but it's not cliche. It's very believable the way that they set this up.
And one of the things that I liked in the show was that they one of the quotes says like, hey, wait, why don't you, what's there to do in Nuevo Toledo? And he's like, oh, when we want to do something, we'll go to Houston.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh, really? Houston. There was a mention there.
There was a mention there.
Nice.
It was Houston as the 4th largest city in the U.S.
Yes, well, there is a big population here of Latin Americans and Central Americans. So of course,
Mexicans
why not?
who come from
Mexicans
who come to Houston. But I think the other question that for me kind of that was raised for me was like, well, what does this mean for the big networks? Because now you have these over the top providers who are creating original series, and they're compelling. They're completely different from what you're watching on novelas. So what does that mean? It means that they have to, change their game a little bit.
This is a little radio show, and we're talking about our first look at the new Netflix original Spanish content show, Club de Cuervos. One of the things about the show that you have to understand is they really are showing their take on the lives of these athletic superstars. I mean, in the very first episode, you see drugs and women and married men who are out having the time of their lives without their wives and other stuff like that, and that is just considered to be the norm while they're trying to make sure that the media
so what you're telling me, it's very relevant to the real world.
And they're trying very hard to make sure that the media doesn't know. The other thing to note is that it also shows the misogyny and the chauvinism that's still very prevalent in Mexico.
Yes, that's unfortunate.
For example, the brother and sister, the sister doesn't get the presidency, and they're very clear about why she doesn't get it, even though she's the one who has more management experience. She's got more information and more knowledge about how the club is run, how the business end of the club is run, and how the financial stuff is run. They tell her, you won't be able to interact with the other owners and with the players and their agents because you're a woman. And so it goes to the brother, who is, he is the kid who runs around, look at me, oh my God. And he doesn't really understand how the business end of the team runs.
Does this program then in need of a shiro? Is that what's happening?
I mean, I think you're on point.
All right, Juan, you don't need to talk. We obviously hear you have a man voice here.
No, I think you're on point in terms of what how the gender roles are portrayed. But I will say it makes for pretty hilarious TV because the guy is hilarious. He's so into himself, and he's like everything is a selfie, and everything is like he's thinking about number one. And it's hilarious to watch him when he's trying to be the big man and there's other people around him and they steal the limelight and he just can't take it.
There's even a little bit of the homophobia in there, and it's very they try and show it off very, very funny. But the reality is they're like, we can't have star soccer players who are into men. And that's one thing. They don't really address it, but it's used as a storyline in a couple of episodes.
Oh, wow.
And so this is it. And the other thing is, the dad, while being this great visionary, he was flawed. They're all flawed. He has this 20-something girlfriend who, when they're reading the will, comes out and says that she's pregnant. And because he wrote his will that everything's divided evenly between all of his children,
part of it.
Well, no, she won't submit to DNA test because it's bad for the baby until the baby is born. And so you go through the episodes watching her trying to milk this pregnancy for all it's worth, while also refusing to show anything to show that the baby's daddy is in fact their dad, which would give him or her 1/3 of everything that he owned.
It kind of reminds me of Empire a little bit, with the, that's a behind the scenes look at the music industry. This is a behind the scenes look at more people with money too, who are just happen to be in the soccer industry.
But going back to the production value, it's very well written. The acting is very on point. It doesn't have that overdone drama that it's so cliched about.
So would you say, do you think it's a starting point for some of the actors here on this programming to venture off to sprout out? I mean, are they superstars that they're integrating to this series, or is it low maintenance, low name actors, actresses?
I didn't recognize anyone in the show, but that doesn't mean anything because I don't really watch Spanish language programming as much as I probably should. What I am hoping is that enough people see the value in the show that they do a second season, because I'm going to be very upset if I don't get to find out.
I'm very curious to hear the numbers now. I'm very curious to see what how well it did.
Yeah, how this nets out. And this is the first.
I think you're just interested to see what happens in the actual thing. I want to know the numbers. How many people are watching, and are they binge watching? Are they going like you two guys are doing, going through the entire series like in less than 48 hours?
But I think this is the first
72. Hey,
72. But this is the first of several, and one of the things that they have in the works is also a program with Kate del Castillo, which I'm excited about because I've been a fan of hers for some time, and she was awesome in La Reina del Sur, and that was very kind of a new program too. So
that's also La Reina del Sur for Spanish language soap operas was considered to be groundbreaking in that they really. I'm not sure that it started the narco novela.
Well, it was the most expensive novela made in history.
At that time.
Yep, at that time. So,
and it was also very international and etc. Mm-hmm. She's very well regarded. Unfortunately, because of that, every time they cast her in a U.S. role, she always plays some sort of criminal now.
Yeah, and I always hear on the radio, they're like, Kate del Castillo thinks she's Teresa de Mendoza. She's staying in that role.
Hey, she's a badass. She's a badass. So,
well, but for those of you who haven't checked out Club de Cuervos, please go to Netflix and at least give it a couple of episodes. They do have English subtitles for those of you who don't speak Spanish well enough to follow everything that they say, but it is very well done. Now let's go over a couple of things in current events that we thought might be of interest to our audience. Recently, there was a Texas couple that announced on YouTube that they had recently gotten pregnant.
Yes, and they announced it to the world on YouTube. They announced
it to the world on YouTube, and
it went viral the way they announced it.
And
well, it was very unique. Well, I'm sorry, Sandra.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
because I don't know enough about this.
Okay. Okay. So what here it is. I was one of the ones I was like, what is the big deal with this? So what happens is this Texas couple, actually Nia and Sam, they announced via YouTube that they were pregnant, but it was very unique the way they announced it. Actually, he announced to his wife that his wife was pregnant. Now, how was he able to do this? What happens is he knows a ritual that his wife does. This is what happens to married couples when you get too comfortable. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, routine. Ritual. No, it's not a ritual because this is a ritual we all do. I'm sorry. So he actually purchased, he had a pregnancy test. He had a Doppler and extracted urine from the toilet where he knows that she goes to the restroom and doesn't flush. And he took the pregnancy test for her. Now, it was the most adorable way, the way he announced it to her. He's like, "You're pregnant." And she's like, "You're crazy. How would you know I'm pregnant?" And he went on and on and on. And
so was this in the video or
it was in the video? No, it was in the video. Like, they are actually vloggers, daily vloggers. So it's a day in the life of them for about 15-20 minutes depending. And this is the way he announced it to her. He's like, "Okay, well, you're pregnant." And she, the entire time she was like, "There's no way. How are you gonna possibly know?"
So
and it finally dawned on her, and she asked him, "Did you extract my urine from the toilet?" He said, "Yes, you did. Guess what? You're pregnant." And it was this emotional thing that they wanted. I know the visual of it. You have to watch it.
What a question. Did you extract my...
Yes. Well, how did you do it? So yes, they announced this and it went viral and everybody's like, "Oh my God," it was what a unique way. And they got emotional because I believe that was going to be their third child and so on and so on. And then 3 days later, they announced the unfortunate that she had a miscarriage.
Well, I didn't see the original video, but I didn't even know that it had gone viral. But I saw the story afterwards, when they were talking about the fact that, she had the miscarriage. And, I saw the second video where they were kind of telling people what had happened. And, to me, obviously, condolences to their family because I think it's a very sad news. And when any family goes through that. But my thought, was like, wow, it really makes you think about the amount of stuff that we share online, the amount of content or the amount of things that we tell that are private or that are that we put out there publicly.
Well, if they're video bloggers and they do a daily video, then what they share is on purpose a lot more than probably most people do.
Yeah, I've seen because I am a big YouTube supporter, so I do make an effort to watch some of the daily bloggers, some of the new content that's coming out there, and some of the daily vloggers have withheld such things like this, like pregnancies. But again, I think they shared it because it was such a unique way, the way she found out she was pregnant.
Yeah, and everybody has different levels of, what you're comfortable sharing, and not,
Yep.
It's not good or bad. It's just something that it kind of makes you think.
Again, some of these vloggers, they do share, like, there are certain things they won't say, certain things they won't share, certain things, and, it's all understandable. We all respect.
So what they've done is they've created an online community who all shared in their joy when they announced the pregnancy, and then all shared in their sadness when they had to announce the miscarriage.
Because it went viral, and now I think there's a bigger community to who can respond better to women who have miscarriages, as opposed to, who go through the full term and what it means to miscarry full term, 1 week, 2 weeks, and so on. So it creates awareness, and I think that's one of the more positive things that can outcome from such a thing.
Yeah, and good for them that they have a community who can support them, both for the happy news and for the sad news.
And for those of you who are listening, we'll provide a link to the video in the show notes. Please go to thelittleradioshow.com to check out our show notes later today or later in the week, and we'll have the link to the video so you can check it out yourself.
So on another news this week, there was news that, how the Selena fans, we talked about it a couple of episodes, the Selena Quintanilla Perez Tejano Queen fans, we pushed and had Mac actually come out with a line. So now the same fans...
Hold on. You signed that petition we had?
Well, I'm claiming it because I'm a Selena fan, and I didn't...
You supported it in spirit.
Well, you better support me when I go buy it. That's what happens there.
But now Selena fans are requesting that she have a wax figure at Hollywood's Madame Tussauds. And so, it's something that's a new petition that, to me, I was like, wait.
I really hope that's the way you pronounce that, because otherwise we butchered that.
Hey, I did the best job I could. But, it's another one of the other things that they're asking for is that Selena be memorialized with this new wax figure, which I was surprised that she wasn't already in that.
So I was reading the article by Jessica Luisa Ruiz from the LA Times, and it's a petition going around to create a wax figure in this Hollywood museum. I thought it was interesting. If we were able to get Mac to do a line, of course. I mean, this just kind of falls into place. So I'm very excited. This is going to happen. And as the writer said, it's going to be done Beady Beady Bum Bum style.
So if you're a fan of Selena and you want her to sign, if you want her to have that wax figure in that museum or in that Hollywood location, then go in and sign the petition, and we'll provide a link in our description about where you can go and do that.
Also, a few episodes ago, we talked about the very sad passing of singer-songwriter Joan Sebastian and the importance that his music had to us and our community and our parents. We found an article recently where there's going to be an all-star tribute to him.
Yeah, it's going to be, I can't remember who the exact artists are, but, it's one of those things where nowadays, whenever a big artist passes away, there's usually a tribute where a lot of other big celebrities get together and they have, they sing his songs and, just play tribute to him, honor his memory. And so I just thought that was cool that they, it's something that well deserved, John Sebastian.
Well, I'm excited about it because I was reading the lineup. Ana Barbara is going to be singing. It's
How
been
long has that been?
quite a while since the last time I've heard her sing. She's one of the ones that I kind of have on replay. There's one song, actually, not one of the artists, but there's one song that I have on repeat in my iTunes. So I'm very excited. And then Enrique Iglesias is going to be attending. I mean, they got big stars. I mean, again, why would they not? He's a legacy.
So for those of you who are just tuning in, this is a little radio show, and we are covering current topics and news items for you. For those of you who are big on who are big on social media, you may not have heard, or you may have, that Hootsuite and Instagram recently announced a collaboration that will let you schedule Instagram images using your Hootsuite account. Now, I'm a big Hootsuite user, and I am a mediocre Instagrammer. So one of the first things that I did was go through and test out how the functionality works. I was a little disappointed that it doesn't actually let you do the entire process.
Oh,
using
you can't publish?
Hootsuite. You can't actually publish online. One of the things that makes Instagram completely different than almost every other social media out there is that you actually have to publish using your mobile device. So while you can go in Hootsuite and connect your Instagram account and you can schedule posts, and which means that you can pull the image and either copy and paste or go in and actually create the message directly on Hootsuite and then schedule it, you still need to activate it on your mobile device, which means that you'll get a notification on your mobile device, and then it will actually pull all the information into your Instagram app on your mobile device to actually do the publishing. So while you're doing all of the front end work on Hootsuite, the final step has to be on Instagram on your mobile device. And to close up the today's episode, we wanted to mention that the South by Southwest panel picker is up, which means that many thousands of suggestions are up there.
For us. Vote for Sandra, myself, and Juan. We're just putting that out there.
And we have a panel. Actually, have a submission. It's called Spanglish and a Bicultural USA. So if you see that one, feel free to show some love and vote for us. But
you can vote for us. You can share. You can tweet it. You can Facebook it. Hell, you can even Instagram if you like now on Hootsuite.
And we will include a link to ours in particular in the show notes. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. I'd like to take this moment to encourage you to go by our iTunes channel and leave us a wonderful review. And if you don't like us yet, give us another week. Thank you.